It is Monday, bank holiday Monday here in the sunny United Kingdom, and yeah, not got a lot to show you today. Mostly just going to be truing and more gluing. Here's the neck blank as shown in the previous video. It's just the morning after, so I'm just going to get this unclamped and we'll start getting everything squared up, trimmed down. Then we can start taking the body blank pieces, get those glued together and press on from there. Got the central core section all planed down. Did most of the work with the old router based jointing setup, and then just did a little bit of hand plane work afterwards just to clean it up. So next up, gluing these together. Well, that's every clamp I own, more or less. Yeah, so as you can obviously tell, I'm just doing the body sections in one at a time, because it's a lot of wood area to get clamped up, so I need to use all the clamps. And that should do it. Do this one later. Okie doke, so obviously it's going to take quite a long while these glue ups are drying, so just turn our attention next to templates. Now these are the templates that I used for my 5-string version, so you can have a quick look at it. This is just like a stick-on vinyl that I print out on an inkjet printer. I've got a wide format printer, and if you're wondering about the inspiration behind this, this is based on the Zon Sonus, which I've been a fan of for a long time. I'm a big fan of Bill Gould of Faith No More, and he's been a Zon Sonus endorser for many years, and I've always looked at them and just, you know, wanted one. But the Zon bases are rarer than unicorn teeth in the United Kingdom. You will probably never see one, so it falls upon me to make my own. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So yeah, this is the original template, and I am going to reproduce this one, I think. I'm thinking of adding a bit more meat on the end of the body here, because as you can see, the bridge is very close to the end, and I did a top carve on this with an angle grinder, and I took quite a bit of meat away, and it left very little space. I actually went too far and took a bit out from under the corner of the bridge there. It's not a big deal on that particular one, but I do want to correct for that this time around. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, when I arrange, just going to move it forward. I'm going to reproduce this template, because it's going to need a smaller pickup cavity anyway, obviously, because it's only going to be a 4-string version. It's going to use the same pickup though. It's just going to be a Music Man style. So I'm going to add a bit more body around the bum end and work from there. The thing with me, when I make these, this is going to be my 3rd through neck design, and I'm always convinced that I haven't left myself enough meat on the end for the headstock, and that I'll have to stick on like a scarf joint or something like that. But I don't, you know, I think I've gotten away with it. I think that's going to be plenty long enough. So anyway, yeah, so I need to redraw this onto another piece of MDF if I've got any. I don't even know if I do. Got some plywood though, so I can always use that. And another thing I need to do is, previously, this is very close to the edge So I'm either going to make this pickup cavity smaller, or I'm going to shift it over slightly. I mean, because I combined it onto the one template, obviously, see, you know, these are things you learn as you're making stuff, which I didn't really anticipate, but it was very close to the edge, and it meant that the contouring on the back actually overlapped the edge of the pickup cavity. I mean, it worked all right. I mean, the actual end result looks pretty good, but nonetheless, it's just one of those things where when I did it, I thought to myself, oh shit, that was stupid. So anyway, yeah, so I'm going to get this drawn onto another piece of wood, get that bandsawed out. Yeah, crack it on. Go, that's one template. I'm pretty happy with that. You can see, compare it to this old one. So I did what I said I was going to do, and just added a little bit extra meat down on the end. Now you might well ask, what's the point of doing these? I mean, it's not like this is going to be a production model and I'm going to be making loads of them. But the simple answer is it's just better to do your improvising with cheap MDF, use the cheap material, get happy with your contours and your overall shape, than it is to do that with expensive hardwood that you've spent all that time gluing together, and playing in and all the rest of it. Get the aesthetics right with the cheap materials, then you can easily transfer it to the expensive ones. You know, it is with anything, you know, measure twice, cut once. Same as this. More templates. Working on headstock design, which I've blatantly copied from this. This is the eco base that I've been working on for absolutely fucking forever. I still haven't finished it yet. I want to put another pickup in it somewhere, just so I've got somewhere to put my thumb, if nothing else. But yeah, this has been hanging on a peg in my workshop for absolutely ages. This was what got me started on the whole thing. I bought this with the intention of just putting this, you know, Sapele surface piece on there, upgrading it a bit because the normal wood's really soft. And I still haven't finished it because then I started building my own guitars and it just snowballed from there. Oh well, such is life. Anyway, this is the headstock, which I've completely copied off this. It doesn't matter because Eco are an Italian company and they I've been out of business for about 30 years, so fuck them, it's mine. It's not quite the same anyway. It's shorter. I don't need all of that space. I'm not going to be putting a big logo on it. Slightly slimmer. Contours are a little bit different, but I have pinched that crown motif. So next up, I'm going to be taking this, putting an angle into it. And I really hate this part. I'm always terrified of screwing it up. Did I cut through where the nut's going to go? Yes, I fucking did. Oh well, I've left myself some safety margin, so it should be alright. Fuck's sake. Let's talk about this bandsaw for a second. This is a Titan bandsaw, as you see on the side. This is from Screwfix here in the UK, and it is basically a typical example of your absolute bottom dollar, cheap as fuck bandsaw. You can get results with it, but you do need to set it up correctly. It doesn't have bearings like expensive bandsaws that are actually good. What it has is two little stump things that hold the blade in position, and a little ball bearing at the back that it just rides on. But it has these above the table, sorry, and also under here as well, under this cover. And when it comes from the factory, none of this shit is adjusted at all. You will have to set it up properly. You have to get that bearing riding up against the edge of the blade. You have to get these side pieces, you know, not pressing against the blade, but just in position. And you have to do it above and below, because if you don't, your blade is going to twist and it is going to go off axis and you are going to end up with the world's least accurate cuts. Just so you're aware, you can get good results with these machines, but don't assume it is set up properly from the factory, because it is not. I've had to just redraw where the nut's going to go. Oh no, this isn't a big deal by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, all it means is that I have to just move the fretboard slightly back. That's the one thing about doing a through neck, because the neck runs the entire length of the body. If you accidentally screw up and make the headstock wrong, just move the fretboard back a bit. Easy peasy, it's not a big deal. You don't have like a fixed position, you don't have a fixed neck up position, neck pickup position, if I can speak English. You've got room to manoeuvre. Honestly, if you don't have one of these and you're even thinking about making a guitar, buy one now. They are just the business. It's a Shinto rasp, it's a saw blade rasp, and they are fantastic. They just go through wood like you wouldn't believe. You can leave a finish that almost looks like it's been sanded. I mean, you know, that's just hand rasped. It's still pretty smooth. That's a good result. Anyway, yeah, I have not made life easy for myself here. I tried to get clever, didn't cut too much wood off, and ended up shifting the nut position back probably about a straight centimetre, which isn't ideal. Straight centimetre, if not half a fucking inch, Jesus Christ. But it's okay, it's fine. All it means is, this is the old template, I'm not even using this one, but it would shift the 24th fret almost into the 23rd fret position, but that's hardly the end of the world. I mean, God, who needs 24 frets on a bass anyway? Good morning, it is a new day. Okay, done a few things off camera, because we're getting into the working week now, so time that I spend on this build is going to be basically time that I am not spending doing actual work that pays the bills and pays for all of this stuff I keep buying. So as you can see, I've done a few things. I've come up with a creative solution for this core being too short. I had a little block Purdue left over from a previous build, and I've just glued it on the end. Squared it off, glued it on, job's good. And I've got the body core, the side pieces, they're all edge jointed, so they're nice and flat. Just need bandsawing out, and they can be glued in place. Making good progress. I'm still waiting for the hardware to arrive. I've got a load of stuff coming in from Toman and from a couple of other eBay sellers. Got the truss rod coming, got the carbon fibre inserts, all the electronics pickups, active preamp, fret wire, all that good stuff, which will hopefully arrive over the next couple of days. New parts just came in today. Got all the electronics and pickups and what have you from Toman. You can see here, just got things laid out, got the headstock shape, got the pieces glued on the sides. So, to-do list, hopefully for later this afternoon, is I'll get this on the radius jig, and I'll get it cut down to the correct thickness, get the radius on there, and maybe get the fret slots done as well. Alright, so we're getting this fretboard made. This is my fretboard radius jig, pretty simple setup. I've just got a curved base, which in this case is cut to 16-inch radius. It slides back and forth. This piece of MDF in the middle, and also across in an arc. So you have to do is just run the router back and forth, up and down the board, lengthwise, just moving it across a little bit each time. Now, one thing to point out, if you build yourself one of these and you decide to try and have a go working with Wengi, as I currently am, Wengi is very prone to tearing out in long splinters. So what I would suggest is you run the router in the direction that the bit is turning. So the bit's turning clockwise, and you run it in that direction, so it's running into the grain rather than scraping it up, because that's where it will catch it, splinter off a bit and fling it away, and yeah, you're knackered. You don't want that. Okay, shoot this on time lapse, and we'll get this done. there you go, all there is to it. Nice and even radius. Now, whatever you do, if you do this, do not run your fingers over it until you have sanded it, unless you really enjoy digging splinters out of yourself, because Wengi is deceptive and it will stab you every chance it gets. Now, you see here, this is one of those aforementioned long, really sharp splinters I talked about. That came from the last little tiny strip. And what I do when I'm cutting these is I'll always go down the outside edges first, so that when you get to that very last final bit, it is going to tear out, but it'll be quite thin, so it'll, you know, it's not going to dig a chunk out of the surface. But if it was right on the edge, it might take away a piece of the edge, which you do not want. That might not be quite final thickness, so I might have to give it another couple of pass or two just to bring it down to the desired thickness, but that's basically all there is to it. Alright, part whatever. I've got my fretboard template printed off now. This is just stick-on material that you can print on an inkjet printer. So what I'm going to do now is get that stuck down to the fretboard blank and get sawing on these fret slots. On freshly slotted board. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a triangular file. I'm just going to run it across each slot. It just gives it, you know, a slight valley, makes it easier to get the frets in, and we'll add those in later. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to close this off now because this whole week's been really piecemeal. I hoped I'd make more progress than this, to be honest with you, but unfortunately, although I've got nearly all the parts that I need to finish the base now, what I don't have are the carbon fibre reinforcing rods that are going inside the neck. Anyway, so hopefully I can bring some sort of coherence out of all of these clips that I've seen, you know, that I've been doing this week. Thanks for watching that for now. I'll see you in the next video.